This is episode 299 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today I'm going to teach you about the concept of wishful thinking and the trap it creates in your life and how actually it maintains diet culture in your life. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Going Beyond the Food Show. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going Beyond the Food method. And after a 25-year dieting career that started at the age of 12, I decided to say hell no to diet culture and undiet my life. It is now my mission to help women undiet their life. If you're new to our podcast, be sure to grab our free podcast roadmap at stephaniedodier.com/roadmap. Ready, sisters? Let's do this. Hey, sisters. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm excited to be teaching you this concept. As I was writing about it, I had so many memories of my own life and the one of my client popping up in my brain. But first, I want to share with you a little story that happened this week. We're in October 2021. Someone sent me a beautiful DM last week, and it said, when I listen to your podcast, it's like you're in my mind. You describe me to a T. And I had this beautiful conversation with this woman, and thank you for all of you who send me or communicate with me via PM or DM. And it means a lot to me that you're sending me this message. And in this case, it really reinforced that I'm doing my job well. It's true. I am in your mind. Not because I have a magical power, but simply because I'm studying myself. And I was someone who was dieting / under the influence of diet culture for 25 years. So I've studied and continue to study my relationship to food and to body and my pattern of thinking about food, body, business, relationship, family. And sometimes my students tell me, well, it's different for you. There's something special about you. Sister, hell no. I have no special part of myself that makes this work any easier for me than it is for you. I am not perfect. I'm not this unique person. You're not perfect neither, and you're not unique. We're all the same. I'm right here with you. I'm simply just a few steps ahead of you, and that's why I'm able to teach you. That's why I'm able to guide you. That's why I'm able to shine the light where you need to go next. I was there with you just like 5, 6, 7 years ago, overwhelmed by my thoughts about my body and therefore food, praying for my body to finally be smaller and stay smaller so I could, quote, finally live the life that I wanted. Everything I teach you, it's because I've experienced it. I dealt with it. And I developed a solution first for myself. Yeah, for myself. And then I did the work of that solution and it worked. And I shared it with 1, 2, 3 clients and it worked for them. And now I'm teaching it to you globally on this platform, on this podcast, inside of our program, on Diet Your Life. And I know it can't work for you. Here's the thing. I don't hold your hands. I don't do the work for you. I don't push you because that way of coaching people, it's diet culture's way, right? My role is to support you and to guide you and to show you the light. But your work, your part to play, just like I did, is to do the work for yourself. And you can probably feel the tone in my voice when I talk about this. Like I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about undieting your life and impacting the next generation of women so they don't have to do these things, so they can chase their dream, the life that they want from the start. I'm 100% behind what I teach because I've lived it and I've seen it work. And that passion that I have is because I want to communicate with you how much easier, how much more time you can have on your hands to do much more important things if you unpack dieting and diet culture from your life. So if you want to have a further taste of that passion, we're hosting a live event. The event is called Ask Stephanie Anything. Literally anything. That event is a virtual event on November the 9th. The last time we actually did a Q&A, Ask Stephanie Anything, it was on fire. And I loved it. It was 45 minutes and it just flew for me because I answered questions and I coached people. It was so awesome. So we're doing another one. And this one is just Q&A. So bring your question about anything, food, body, goals, mindset, health. I'll answer anything and I'll coach you. You need to register because it's a virtual event. I need to be able to send you, not me, my team will be sending you a link to a virtual room. We have 100 seats, as always, available. You can register at stephaniedodier.com/live. Or if you are on your podcast app right now, you can go to the show note. There'll be a link. Give us your email. We'll give you the link. And we're on for November the 9th. And we will be sending a recording. However, I'm going to coach you to come on live because that's where the juice is at. So one thing that I'm likely going to talk about or coach women on in this live event is what I'm about to teach you today, which is a pattern of thinking called wishful thinking trap. And it's literally a trap that we can get stuck into without knowing for years. For me, I was stuck in the trap of wishful thinking for 25 years. I opted on and off of diet starting at the age of 12 until the age of 38. Always wishing that the next diet would be the right one. And didn't stop until I began my journey, as I mentioned earlier, to undiet my life and more specifically changing my pattern of thinking. So wishful thinking is best described as when we interpret facts as we like them to be, not how they actually are. And I just coached a client this week on the thought that she was having. She was experiencing struggle of doing her personal work as we teach it in our program. And so she sent us a question that said, I'm just too busy to do the work now. Can I stop now and start again in January when I'll have more time? That was her perspective. That was the reality she was living in. It wasn't a fact that she was too busy. And it's certainly not a fact that suddenly in January, the universe will give her more time. That was a thought she was thinking, a wishful thought she was entertaining that was preventing her to look at the much more difficult aspect of her life. How she was a people pleaser and how she was saying yes to everyone in her life, stealing her own personal time and her desire to be perfect in everything. And that is time consuming in order to avoid judgments and rejection. Her wishful thinking was that at some point, magically, time was going to come while maintaining people-pleasing and perfectionism. Now, you're listening to this story and you're like, hey, girl, that's not going to happen. We know that because we're not in her reality. But that was the reality she was living in. Wishful thinking is the formation of belief based on what might be pleasing to imagine rather than the reality, the evidence, and the facts. Wishful thinking is a coping mechanism because we want something to be true so badly, even though it's not true. Just like the fantasy of the thin ideal. Once we're smaller, our life will be better. Poof, just like that, by magic. Because magical thinking comes along with wishful thinking. We want to just close our eyes, avoid the reality, and indulge ourselves in the miracle solution, and all of our life's little problem will go away. Here's the thing, wishful thinking is usually grown from fear. We don't resort to wishful thinking because it works. We resort to wishful thinking because it allows us to avoid confronting our fear. Wishful thinking allows us to avoid discomfort, stress, anxiety, pressure. Think of all the years we pursued dieting on and off, always landing back in the same place. Wishful thinking is a trap because it keeps us stuck. It protects us from having to see the reality and the facts that the thin ideal fantasy is false, that diet don't work, and that it supports diet culture in our life. Diet culture puts the blame on the individual instead of the system. Diet culture wants us to think, maybe I can fool myself pretending that my diet will work this time if I try harder. In fact, diet culture teaches us magical thinking with the thin ideal fantasy. Diet culture teaches us that external action will resolve our internal problem. We will feel happier in our inner world by shrinking our external body. That reducing the layer of fat on our body will make us a happier person in the world, that will make us have less anxious based thoughts. Like when I'm presenting it like this, you're like, yeah, you're right. That makes no sense. Yet many of us, and I know for me, I heard that message before, but I went back in wishful thinking because I was more afraid of the potential outcome of leaving diet culture and the thin ideal fantasy than the pain I was suffering in the diet cycle, right? I was deadly afraid of rejection because I didn't accept myself. Like, how could other people accept me when I didn't accept myself, right? I was afraid that the negative self-thoughts that I was constantly repeating in my brain would continue and get worse because I had no clue that I could actually manage these thoughts and not think them. And I was also under the false belief that diet culture had taught me that if I didn't maintain a certain weight, a certain small body, my health would not be healthy. Like I would not be healthy, especially as I was getting older. And wishful thinking is almost like an addiction, right? And it's because it provides us a burst of dopamine in our brain. When we fantasize about how our life will be better and we indulge in the magical thinking that just by doing this external action of removing fat from our body, everything in our life will get better. We get a dopamine rush. A dopamine is this feel-good neurotransmitter in our brain, and it helps us medicate the anxiety feelings we're creating for ourselves by all the self-critical thoughts that we experience when we're not indulging in wishful thinking and magical thinking. So what's the solution? How does one, me, you, end the cycle of wishful thinking and magical thinking? There's one thing, very simply is creating a new pattern of thinking. And I call that developing objective thinking. Like, first thing first, we need to stop believing in our thoughts, right? Just like the coaching moment I shared with you with one of our clients who was believing that she was too busy. It's just a thought. Thoughts are not facts, right? The facts is that there's time, the availability of time, that's a fact. How you view that time, how you describe time in your life, that's a thought. Now, just that, to many people, is hard to conceptualize. Or if you've conceptualized it, that I said it to you, you may be resisting it, right? That resistance that you experience when you objectively think about circumstance in your life is a sign. That resistance that you're feeling of me telling you I'm just too busy, being a thought, that's a sign that you need to be curious, right? That's call it step 2 of what we can do. Be curious. Be curious about the resistance you experience. Be curious about your thoughts. Investigate your belief system. Because belief system as an adult, what I call a quote, grown-ass women, is up to you. Nobody has the power to tell you what you can and cannot believe in. So investigate the belief. Investigate your thought. Be curious about the resistance that you're feeling to new concept, new perspective, new belief, new thoughts. Question your current belief, your current thought. Expose yourselves to people who don't necessarily think like you, just like listening to this podcast, right? But don't get stuck just listening and just watching. Because gathering information, observing other people's perspective is never going to create change in you. You have to do the work. And there's this beautiful quote from Brené Brown who talks about being in the arena, right? Surround yourself with people who have different beliefs, different thoughts than you, but people that are in the arena that you want to be in. People that are actively doing the work to go where you want to go. Not people that are chasing or being in the arena of your old beliefs, right? So let me just read that quote because she's much more eloquent than I am. So I'm going to quote Brené here. If you are not in the arena getting your ass kicked, I'm not interested in or open to your feedback. There are millions of cheap seats in the world today filled with people who will never be brave with their own lives, but will spend every ounce of energy they have hurling advice and judgment to those that are trying to dare greatly. Their only contribution are criticism, cynicism, and fear-mongering. If you are criticizing from a place where you have not been putting yourself on the line, I am not interested in your feedback. Seek people that have different beliefs, different thoughts than you, that are in the arena doing the work of where you want to be. The truth is, the arena of diet culture, the arena of the weight loss industry is huge. And they will always fight to keep you in that arena. Diet culture in the weight loss industry is a $71 billion industry in the US alone in 1 year, 2018. That's an arena, and they will want to keep you in there, and they will criticize you. People in that arena, people that uphold the belief and the thoughts of diet culture, the 10 ideal fantasy and wishful thinking, that you don't need to be emotionally competent. You don't need to manage your thought. You just need to be smaller. They will criticize you if you're trying to get out of that arena, and they'll try to pull you back in. So surround yourself with people in our world that have different beliefs, different thoughts, and are doing the work. And be inspired by these people. Find your motivation and your fuel by being surrounded with people who are heading in the same direction as you are. If you want to do this work and want to release wishful thinking and magical thinking, that's what we do. Undiet Your Life is a program to break free from diet culture and wishful thinking and the poof of magical thinking, so that you can become the expert at your own body, at your own life, so you can focus on what really matter. With that in mind, I'll see you on the next episode. Beyond ready to shed diet culture from your life and become the expert at your own body? Awesome. Then you need to join Undiet Your Life program. Go to stephaniedodier.com/join and join us now. Undiet Your Life is the first program of its kind with the unique combination of mindset, life coaching with intuitive eating and body image. Find your freedom, reclaim your power, and take control of your time so you can refocus on what really matters to you. Join Undiet Your Life at stephaniedodier.com/join, and I'll see you on the other side.